Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Rick Godley, and we happen to be sitting in the Kid Davis House, the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society, 609 North Vienna Street. Matter of fact, this will be the place for the first event on Operation Reboot, if you will, the restoration, the second renaissance of the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society. We invite you out. It will be a Friday evening, September 30th, 7 p.m. for a presentation and a book signing from this gentleman to my left, Christopher Kennedy, who wrote Louisiana Text, Joe I.A. We interviewed him earlier, so we are inviting you to come. It's totally free. The house will be open at 6 o'clock. And then to my right, proud Papa, and Dr. Gary Kennedy. Well, Christopher, my friend, how's everything going?
It's going well, thank you.
Well, the book was launched, you had your first event in August, correct, at Louisiana Tech, right?
Right.
So how are things progressing there? Because besides being an author, you're also a student, a graduate student. Stay focused on the book. How's that happening?
It's going pretty well. We've sold a lot of copies and people are interested. They're asking where they can get more, and just, happy that it's out there.
Sure enough. Let's, where can people go online to order it? Get that out of the way early here, in case they can't make it.
It's on Amazon.
Amazon.
And also Barnes & Noble.
All right, Amazon and Barnes & Noble, Louisiana Text, Joe I.A., and it will be Friday evening. We'll have plenty of books here. Christopher will be here talking about that, signing the book, and you can purchase a copy of the book. And if you will, a brief overview before we talk with your dad on the inspiration for why you wrote the book.
So I grew up here in Ruston, and my dad was a department head of agricultural sciences. And so I would go to the games, I would go to the tailgate, because agricultural sciences always had a tailgate, which was, in our opinion, the best tailgate.
Still is.
Still is.
And so I just grew up going to the games, and I saw the name of the stadium, Joe I.A., and had no idea about him. My parents didn't know. No one else seemed to know. And so I was just curious and remained curious for forever about why they named the stadium after him. And then finally I met Cynthia I.A., his daughter, and after having like a 3-hour plus conversation one day, I realized that there was no book about this great story, and that there needed to be something so that everyone will know why they named it after him.
The subtitle of the book there is Louisiana Text, Joe I.A., from an Orphan Trian to the College Hall of Fame. I think that pretty much sums up how you can come from small beginnings, humble beginnings, and overwhelming odds in life to be literally enshrined in the Hall of Fame, as well as have a football stadium named after you. So that should be inspirational for all of us.
Correct, and just a very unique perspective, unique life story, and that he came all the way from New York to here and grew up as a Cajun. No one knew anything about his background until he was on his deathbed and stories started coming out in the newspaper. And so then he had to explain to his family, who didn't even know about it.
This is amazing, and I'm not going to talk to you anymore in this interview because we want people to come and actually hear Christopher Kennedy make the presentation. It'll be Friday night. It will be September 30th, 7 p.m. here at the Lincoln Parish Museum, 609 North Vienna Street, because there are so many stories within the stories, correct? And that's why you want people to buy the book, right?
Correct.
All right. So, Dad, Dr. Gary Kennedy, first of all, before we get into how proud you are of your son, explain to the people why you have the best tailgates.
Well, of course, we have Tech Farm and we have our meat science laboratory. So we just have availability of some of the best meats. And two, I have a crew that that are all in. Dr. Mark Murphy and Gordon Rieger, who is our manager at the Meats Lab, they're with me, and they're as all in just like I am, and so yeah, they're excited, and we have a lot of support crew in addition to them, students who help, and so the tailgate is actually, I mean, it's a college tailgate, College of Applied Natural Sciences, but Ag Science and Forestry take the lead on that, so yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So look for at every football game you're out there tailgating?
Right. They've moved us up this year close to the Argent Pavilion. We used to be kind of in the corner back there because our grill puts out a lot of smoke, so I hope we don't smoke people out this year. But they've moved us up front, and but yeah, it'll be good.
Well, little did you know at the time when you started those tailgates, your son Christopher going to this edifice called Joe Aillet Stadium. And give us your takeaway. When did you realize that you didn't realize who Joe Aillet was? And then when did you realize that something was sparking in your son to bring his life story to the world?
Yeah, I grew up in rural Union Parish. And, when I got my driver's license around 16, my parents, the first out-of-town trips they'd let me take was they'd let me go in my dad's truck. They'd let me go to the Tech football game, so I could take a few of my friends. We'd go to the Tech games, and that was mid to late 70s, and and that's coming on the heels of Joe Aillet's very successful teams in the late 60s, early 70s. And so the reputation there of Tech, and so we just, we knew about that, and we wanted to go to those games and experience that. And but still, I didn't know who Joe Aillet. I mean, we knew the stadium was named that, but it didn't really click anything there. So when I came back to Tech as a faculty member, one of the first things my wife and I are doing, we're going to Tech games. We're, back kind of, for me, it's kind of nostalgia. And so it's, I wanted to get back into that. Of course, Chris is, at that point, Chris is probably about 2 years old or so. And so we're going to the stadium. And so all the games we go to, he's there. And so it's just, he always knew about it. He's raised right. He's, Tech blue through and through. So.
Indoctrinated at an early age.
Inculcated, indoctrinated. He's also all red and blue. I mean, a Bearcat into a Bulldog.
Well, that's true too. That's exactly right. So, but in addition to that, we go to St. Thomas Aquinas Catholic Church, and there's a plaque there that has the founding members of the church and recognize the parade bell, which is another story. But Joe Aillet's name is on that plaque, so Chris he sees that there as well. Mm-hmm. So it's just a curiosity, and so yeah, he's in being a history major and always interested in finding out about the past. It's just natural.
Well, Christopher, let me ask you on Joe Aillet's coaching style, as you found, and I'm sure you have heard and interviewed former players of his. His style is a unique style where he led by example, and he brought it out of you. He didn't scream it into you. Is that fair assessment?
Correct. And a lot of times he didn't necessarily have to tell you, but there was the expectation there, and it made an impression on his players. Mm-hmm. And in the book, there's several examples of where he helped mold how their personality and their outlook on life, because a lot of them, that came from rough backgrounds, or maybe they were impatient, and his example really helped calm them down. Mm-hmm. And really kind of put them on the trajectory that, a lot of his players became successful coaches and successful, doctors, engineers, all kinds of different professions.
And I think that's why Joe Aillet fits so well at Louisiana Tech. It's like me, when I came to Louisiana Tech, the faculty and staff there at the time, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do in life, and they put me on a a path. They helped me get on a path, and opened doors for me that I didn't even know existed. And and that's kind of the tech culture in general back then and now. And I think Joe Aillet, his personality, his style fit and clicked so well with that of Louisiana Tech.
You know what amazes me? We're living in a day and age where people are trying to, and you hear it in sports talk, radio, et cetera, what they're going for a legacy. They're going for a legacy. Well, here's a man whose legacy is now magnified because of who he was. He never thought of being, a legacy person. He was just who he was, the character of a man.
That's right. That's exactly right. He lived it, and in great people in history, if you look, that's generally the case. They're not going about seeking fame and fortune. They're going about seeking their passion and helping people, and the fame and fortune comes along, with that. So.
Well, Christopher, are you hearing from former players since the book has been out? I know that if you haven't, you will be hearing from them. Have you?
I've only heard good things from those that have read it so far, and a lot more from people who are wanting to get it, who haven't got it yet.
So you can get the book. It's called Louisiana Tech's Joe Aillet, and you can get it at Amazon and Barnes & Noble, or you can come to the Lincoln Parish Museum. It'll be Friday evening, 7 o'clock, total free event. Doors will be open at 6 p.m. as Christopher will be here for a short presentation as well as book signing and selling. And oh, by the way, our friends in Claiborne Parish are going to be up there at the Claiborne Parish Library, right?
Correct.
Thursday night, the night before here. So plenty of opportunities to come and hear Christopher, native son, Bleeding Red Bearcat. They won last night. You hope the Bulldogs will win tonight, correct?
Yes.
All right, so do us all a favor. Push this message far and wide and invite people in. And before we go, though, Dad, when did you realize that, what's your wife's name?
Celine.
Celine. When did you and Celine say, Christopher's writing a book? Did you always know he would write a book?
Yeah, he always was a big reader, and since a very young age, and I'm not surprised at all, because he started writing little stories. I guess when you were about in the 4th, 5th grade, a lot of neat little short stories, and and he had some great teachers along the way,
right.
Some great English teachers and others that helped him along the way too. So no, I'm not surprised at all.
How many books have you written?
Other than my dissertation, none.
Well, but my point is, writing's not easy. Right. And did you find it easy? Did you go through what they all talk about, writer's block, or did you have your days where, like, I'm not really feeling it today, but you applied yourself and you sat down, pushed through it, or literally walked away and come back to it? How was that experience?
Well, fortunately, this was a very good story, and no dull moments anywhere along the way. And if anything, just a few frustrating ends that haven't quite been put together and probably won't ever be put together. But writer's block, I did not have that issue with this story, fortunately.
You were too busy, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a novel, isn't it? I mean, the information was always there in front of you. You just had to go and pan and dig for it.
Correct.
I doubt you had to dig too hard, right? What was the hardest thing you had to do?
Transcribe?
Transcribe, I mean, that took a while. It was pretty laborious, but again, very interesting interviews with players. So I'm not sure if that would be the hardest thing, because I like doing it.
Right.
I suppose just some of the things that have not been answered.
Right.
And things that I would like to expound upon, but for various reasons, the information just is not available.
Well, one of the most fun things we did, a couple of things. We went to Holy Cross High School in New Orleans, and Chris made that connection. He said, "Why don't you come down there with me, Dad?" I said, "Yeah, well, I'll go." So we went down there, and what really shocked me was the people at Holy Cross. the coach and they have a volunteer archivist that helps with the records. These guys knew all about Joe Aillet. He's in their Hall of Fame. They knew, all about him, and he came through there in the 1920s, and then we went to St. Edward's University in Austin, where he went to do his bachelor's degree, and he didn't finish there. He finished actually at Southwestern in Lafayette, which is ULL now. But we went there, and he's in their records, and they knew about him, even though he didn't finish there, and he's still at the top of some of their athletic lists.
Yes, and that's another just one of those odd, why did he not graduate at St. Edward's?
Right.
Why did he go back home, basically?
In his senior year, yeah.
And didn't play football.
Are you going to save that for your presentation here at the Lincoln Parish Museum, or you want people to read the book, or is that just some unanswered questions that that linger?
It's a bit unanswered, but I can go into that here at the museum.
This is fascinating to me. I mean, have you ever met Joe Aillet?
No. He passed away when before I ever came to Tech.
Okay.
And he passed away, I was probably about 12 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm remiss. I mean, this man is just like larger than life, isn't he? But he was true to life.
And again, it's like I only wrote so much about him. There's probably information somewhere out there, and like all good stories, it gets added on to. So.
Mm-hmm. Right. Once again, all right, this is fascinating. Come to the Lincoln Parish Museum. It'll be Friday evening, September 30th, 7 p.m. for this gentleman to my left, Christopher Kennedy, who has written the book, Louisiana Tech's Joe Aillet. You can pick it up at Amazon. You could also get it at Barnes & Noble, or you'll get it here that night. Dad has a whole truckload of cases there. You still have that truck from Union Parish, your dad's truck?
No, not, but I've got another vehicle can haul even more. So.
Oh, no. But sure enough, we'll have plenty of books. Christopher with a presentation, a Q&A, and then book signing, book selling here at the Lincoln Parish Museum, 609 North Vienna. Thursday night, the night before, Claiborne Parish at the Claiborne Parish Library. I think that's going to be at 6 p.m., correct?
Correct.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for your time today, and help us help him and spread the message of the book, which is actually the message of a magnificent human being called Joe Aillet. Louisiana Tech's Joe Aillet, from an orphan train, which that conjures up a whole bunch of questions that people don't know, to the College Football Hall of Fame. I'm Rick Godley, alongside Christopher Kennedy and Dr. Carrie Kennedy. We are inside the Lincoln Parish Museum. We'll stream you later.